Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a really important and often debated topic, marriage and divorce as addressed by Jesus himself. We'll be exploring Matthew chapter 19, verses 1 through 15. This passage is packed with profound teachings that challenge cultural norms, both then and now. It's a conversation that gets to the very heart of God's design for relationships. So grab your Bible, a notebook, and an open heart as we journey through these powerful words together. Let's begin our reading in Matthew 19, starting at verse 1 from the New Living Version. When Jesus had finished saying these things, he left Galilee and went down to the region of Judea east of the Jordan River. Large crowds followed him there, and he healed their sick. Some Pharisees came and tried to trap him with this question: Should a man be allowed to divorce his wife for just any reason? Haven't you read the scriptures? Jesus replied, They record that from the beginning God made them male and female. And he said, This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Since they are no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together. Then why did Moses say in the law that a man could give his wife a written notice of divorce and send her away? They asked. Jesus replied, Moses permitted divorce only as a concession to your hard hearts, but it was not what God had originally intended. And I tell you this, whoever divorces his wife and marries someone else commits adultery unless his wife has been unfaithful. Jesus' disciples then said to him, If this is the case, it is better not to marry. Not everyone can accept this statement, Jesus said. Only those whom God helps. Some are born as eunuchs. Some have been made eunuchs by others, and some choose not to marry for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Let anyone accept this who can. One day some parents brought their children to Jesus so he could lay his hands on them and pray for them. But the disciples scolded the parents for bothering him. But Jesus said, Let the children come to me. Don't stop them. For the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like these children. And he placed his hands on their heads and blessed them before he left. Let's take a moment to really unpack what we've just read. The scene opens with Jesus moving into a new region, and as always, the crowds follow, and he extends his healing touch. But right away, the Pharisees arrive with a loaded question. They ask if a man can divorce his wife for any reason. This wasn't a sincere question. It was a trap. At the time, there were two main schools of thought among Jewish leaders. One school, led by Rabbi Shammai, taught that divorce was only permissible for serious transgressions, specifically sexual immorality. The other school, led by Rabbi Hillel, was much more lenient, allowing a man to divorce his wife for almost any reason, even for something as trivial as burning a meal. The Pharisees wanted to force Jesus to pick a side, hoping to alienate him from one group or the other. But Jesus, in his perfect wisdom, doesn't fall into their trap. He doesn't side with Hillel or Shammai. Instead, he goes back to the very beginning, to God's original design. He quotes from Genesis, reminding them that God created humanity as male and female, and that marriage is a divine institution where to become one flesh. His point is powerful. Marriage isn't just a social contract. It's a sacred union established by God. Therefore, what God has joined together, no human should separate. Jesus elevates the conversation from legal loopholes to God's holy intention. The Pharisees push back, of course. They bring up the law of Moses, specifically the part in Deuteronomy that allows for a certificate of divorce. They're essentially asking, if marriage is so permanent, why did Moses permit divorce? Jesus' response is key. He explains that Moses permitted divorce not because it was God's ideal, but as a concession to their hard hearts. In other words, divorce was a reluctant provision to manage the brokenness caused by human sin and hardness of heart. It was never part of the original perfect plan. Then Jesus sets a very high standard. He says that remarrying after a divorce constitutes adultery, with one specific exception: sexual unfaithfulness, or porneia in the original Greek. This statement was radical. It protected the vulnerable, especially women who could be easily discarded in that culture, and it called everyone back to the profound covenant of marriage. The disciples' reaction is so telling. They are completely stunned. They say, if this is the case, it is better not to marry. They immediately grasp the weight of what Jesus is saying. The lifelong commitment he describes seems impossibly difficult. They are basically saying, if there's no easy exit, maybe it's better not to enter at all. Jesus acknowledges their concern. He agrees that not everyone can accept this teaching. He then speaks about singleness, noting that some are single by birth, some by circumstance, and some choose it for the sake of the kingdom. This is an incredible affirmation. Jesus validates both marriage and celibacy as legitimate callings. He's saying that the goal isn't just to get married. The goal is to live faithfully for God, whether you are married or single. The ability to live out either calling, he implies, comes from God's help. And then the chapter takes a beautiful turn. Just after this intense discussion on marriage, parents bring their children to Jesus. The disciples, probably still reeling from the previous conversation and seeing the children as an interruption, try to send them away. But Jesus rebukes his own disciples. He says, "Let the children come to me, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who are like these children." What's the connection? Well, after a heavy theological debate, Jesus brings it all back to simple, humble, trusting faith. Children don't come to Jesus with complex legal questions or hidden agendas. They come with open arms and trusting hearts. They simply want to be near him. This is the heart posture God desires from all of us. Whether we're grappling with the complexities of marriage, the calling of singleness, or any other aspect of our faith, he wants us to come to him with the trust of a child. Jesus doesn't just teach the children. He welcomes them, places his hands on them, and blesses them. It's a beautiful picture of his gentle and loving nature. So what can we take away from this chapter? First, God holds marriage in the highest esteem. It's a covenant meant for life, reflecting the union between Christ and the church. Second, while divorce is a tragic reality in our fallen world, it was never God's original intent. His standard is high because the union is so sacred. Third, both marriage and singleness are honorable callings, and God gives grace for whichever path we are on. And finally, no matter how complex life gets, we are called to approach Jesus with the simple, humble, and dependent faith of a child. He is always ready to welcome us and bless us. Thank you so much for joining me today to study this incredible passage. I hope it has been enlightening and encouraging for you. If this message resonated with you, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video. I love reading your comments, so let me know if you love Jesus. I will pray for you, everyone. Search for Jesus at HaroldSwaney for the complete library of my Bible study videos. Thank you and God bless.